Huawei makes some very unique and good looking smartwatches. The one I have with me is the GT2 Classic that I bought in 2020, and the three features it has that I use the most are viewing messages and notifications on it without pulling out my phone, the flashlight feature, and skipping between music as well as adjusting the volume of music and videos. Yes, I rarely actually use it to look at the time, but this is basic compared to what else Huawei has. So these are three of the most interesting and unique watches made by Huawei right now that you can buy. The first is the Huawei Watch Buds, and I think this is genius. So you have a watch with buds, wireless buds inside it. I say it's genius because instead of fumbling about looking for your case and the buds, the case is always on your wrist. The watch face opens up like a lid, and the buds themselves will be magnetically attached to the lid itself, such that when the lid lifts up, it lifts up with the buds as soon as you open it. The buds themselves have a battery life of up to 4 hours despite them being small enough to fit inside the watch. Battery life is 3 days for the whole system, that's the watch and the buds, which is definitely below Huawei's standards of 7 to 14 days. But it's still a lot better than anything Apple, Samsung, or Google can pull off right now. You just have to contend with its bulkiness. Obviously, there are some trade-offs. Because the whole lid essentially flips open, it's not water resistant, so any activity or scenarios or workout routines involving water are not recommended. The other is that using the buds frequently will heavily impact the battery life of the watch. The wireless buds each have tiny batteries inside them that charge by drawing power from the main battery in the watch, so the more they are used, the faster the watch battery will be depleted. The watch also loses calling features. The loudspeaker and built-in mics are removed to make space for the battery and the buds, so the said speaker and mic are moved to the buds. That said, in the 3 years that I have had my watch, I have used it for calls probably less than 5 times. So even I would not miss that. Anyways, this one will set you back a hefty $490. But if you consider that you're getting a watch and wireless buds with noise cancelling, then it's not so bad. Maybe. Next up is the Huawei Watch GT Cyber, and it brings a fresh take on what customizing your watch is. Normally when you buy a smartwatch, the only way to jazz it up is to buy bands or belts of different colors and materials for it. The GT Cyber goes a step further by also including the frame of the watch. So you can remove the functional bit of the watch completely off the frame and put it on a different frame. This allows you to have different frame and belt combinations for an even more comprehensive form of personalization. The look is a love-hate affair because of the rugged cyber look of the frames, but it's not all just about the looks. This one is a direct competitor to the Apple Watch Ultra in that it is bigger and more rugged. It is tested to endure harsher environments so it can survive colder or hotter environments better than other Huawei watches, and has gone through military test procedures for testing how well it handles shocks and bumps. And on the inside, it's also one of the smartest watches Huawei makes in that it's running Harmony OS, meaning you can install apps on it, and it also comes with Celia voice assistant built in. Apart from the polarizing looks, it's also worth mentioning that although it's running an OS that allows for installing apps, it only has access to Huawei's app gallery for these apps. So if the app you need is not available on Huawei's app gallery, then you'll be out of luck. That said, Huawei quotes the battery life of the GT Cyber at 7 days of normal usage and 3 days of heavy usage. In terms of price, the GT Cyber is the cheapest one on this list at $245. This last one has been out for a while now. It's the Huawei Watch D, and it's got a strong focus on health. This is one of the very few smartwatches that comes with blood pressure and ECG measurements built in. Most smartwatches, including mine, can measure heart rate and blood oxygen saturation and use this data to also give readings of stress and the quality of your sleep. But blood pressure and ECG require specialized hardware, which Huawei has managed to fit into the Watch D. Blood pressure hardware that includes a pump and an airbag has been made small enough to fit in a wristwatch. It also has electrodes specifically for ECG measurements, and Huawei even claims that the BP measurements you get from this watch have a margin of error of plus or minus 3 millimeters of mercury. So it's probably as reliable as a smartwatch measuring your BP can get. You will think that all this hardware will result in terrible battery life, but Huawei claims 7 days of battery life, which is very decent. This watch has some protection against water, but they discourage the use of this watch around water, especially workout routines done in water or in the shower. If you're not comfortable using your phone there, then the same applies to this watch. The average price for this one is around $435 US. If you stuck around until now, then you deserve a bonus one. Huawei is working on a watch that will have direct communication with satellites. Now yes, a majority of smartwatches Huawei makes have built-in GPS receivers for location tracking during a workout routine. But this satellite communication will be for two-way comms separate from GPS, and it will be used for SMS in remote areas. This one will be unveiled on March 23 alongside the Huawei Watch 4, which it will be based on.